This is typical Trump trying to create as much pressure and chaos on a bilateral basis as possible so that he can, in the end, claim victory by solving or at least ameliorating the problem which he's created. What is going on here is a continued negotiation tactic. There should be saner heads on both the U.S. and Indian side.
For talking to ANI, firstly, your impression or your reaction to President Trump's announcement this morning. What do you make of it? 25% tariffs on India plus penalties.
Well, thanks very much for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk with ANI. I think this is typical Trump trying to create as much pressure and chaos on a bilateral basis as possible so that he can, in the end, claim victory by solving or at least ameliorating the problem which he's created. The basic difficulty is the abandonment by President Trump of the multilateral approach to international trade as embodied since World War II, first in the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade and then in the WTO. That having been said, it seems to me that what is going on here is a continued negotiation tactic. You will recall that when Prime Minister Modi was in Washington back in the early days of this Trump administration, the timetable which had been set was the fall. And of course, Trump has moved up a lot of the negotiations and is trying to get this one closed as well. So I think that there is no need to panic, and I think that there should be saner heads on both the U.S. and Indian side that can come to an agreement. You may recall again that in Trump, the first Trump administration, we were almost to something resembling at least a freer trade agreement, and I still hold out hopes for that. That having been said, there are a couple of new elements in this. One is that he has, for the first time, introduced the Russian aspect of the equation. You may recall that he said he was going to solve the Russian invasion of Ukraine on day one, and that hasn't occurred. It's finally gotten through to him that Putin is not his friend, and that he isn't going to respond to anything other than pressure. So India is going to need to think about what its interests are in regard to Russia and the question of oil imports. I don't think that the attitude that India bears no interest or has no responsibility in regard to the Russian invasion of Ukraine should hold, but that's up to India. The values which are in the United Nations Charter of non-aggression, non-invasion have been breached by Russia. This is the most egregious breach of principles against imperialism that's occurred since World War II. India has led the fight against imperialism for a long, long time. And it will need to think about what its interests are. There's plenty of oil in the world. The question is just really what the price of it is. India has gotten some break on that, but it really hasn't been as significant as some people say. The other point is that India is going to need to take further consideration about what its interests are in further opening its economy to international competition. When India was first independent, the emphasis was all on protecting infant industry, trying to get away from economic imperialism. That mindset may no longer apply because India has grown in strength. It has had tremendous economic strides, and it needs to think about what's in its interest in terms of opening to further competition. The old ways of thinking about the Indian national interest as being one of trying to separate itself from Western imperialism are really not applicable. The major challenges to India now in security come from China. The major challenges in economy have to do with whether or not it will be a source of innovation and competition throughout the world. So these things are up to India, but I think that it's very unfortunate that President Trump is taking this completely transactional bilateral approach as opposed to one which has stood the world in good stead since World War II, and is one which India should be a leader in. I would say I think there's opportunity here for India. The world needs leadership. It doesn't have it with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a my way or the highway sort of guy, and in the medium to long run, that isn't going to work. But India is a past master in many ways of being able to work with others, and it should step forward as one of the world's leading democracies to fill the void which has been created by President Trump.
Well, if we talk about, the play out in terms of the deal, since 3 weeks we've been hearing from the president that a deal would be out sometime soon. So what really has played out in these 3 weeks? Do you have something to share at this point?
Well, I think the major sticking point has been in regard to agriculture. It seems to me that that's a very politically salient issue for good reason in India. It seems to me that the Modi administration understands the need for greater opening in regard to agriculture, but it is just not in the cards to be able to simply abandon the kinds of protection that small farmers particularly need now. But I don't think that that is an insurmountable problem. And I do think that there are steps which can be taken from the Indian side in other areas to make up for that. And apparently one of those is now in regard to stepping forward and doing what India has talked about in the past in regard to Ukraine, Russia, and providing leadership in the international security area.
In terms of the president's criticism of India relying on Russia in terms of the energy, is this really a shift of the U.S.-India strategic partnership?
Well, I think that the shift came when Russia invaded Ukraine, and in order to provide the wherewithal to continue this sort of imperialistic venture, it cut prices to India and to others, particularly to China, in order to keep the revenue flowing. But India can take measures with many other sources in regard to oil. And I believe that it is true that India needs to reevaluate its leadership position as a great democracy. And as far as I can see, the values which are expressed by authoritarian regimes are not those of India, but it is up to India to decide in the longer run where its interest in being a world leader lie.